When temperatures fall, a nice homemade bowl of chili can really hit the spot, especially when it's made with locally sourced vegetables, healthy beef, and drizzled with a little light cheese. Then again, if you're a pretty picky eater, or between the ages of 5 and 10, another favorite meal might hit the spot. Canyon's registered dietitian Emily Jenkins knows just the one.
They love our orange chicken. It is breaded in a whole grain breading. We bake it in the oven and toss it in the sauce, served with brown rice, not white rice. So they'll eat it and they love it, but it's something that they see out and about, and we make it have a little bit more nutrition.
From mouth-watering orange chicken to homemade mac and cheese, crisp local apples, and the plumpest strawberries you can buy, Canyon's nutrition department has an eye on what kids will eat, what is nutritious, and how to combine the two. Today we're sitting down with Sebastian Varis, Canyon's Director of Nutrition Services, and Emily Jenkins, who crafts Canyon's menus, to talk about all things food. How do we decide what to serve? And where do we get the food? And of course, the question all parents want to know, what is the key to getting kids to eat healthy food? We'll talk about all of that today for this edition of Connect Canyon's podcast. I'm your host, Amy Nielsen. And just a warning, if you're not hungry now, after listening to this, you will be.
I've heard very legendary things about our mac and cheese. I'm a big fan. I mean, made from scratch, we mix the sauce ourselves from a roux, right, in our kitchens. I mean, I've heard a lot of very good things about our mac and cheese from former students and current students. So another really good from scratch recipe that goes over so well.
As a registered dietitian, Emily knows that a lot goes into planning a balanced meal at school. Everything from the type of food served to the ingredients within the food matters. Age matters. High school kids prefer different foods than elementary school kids. And preference matters. If a meal is really healthy but nobody will eat it, then it defeats the purpose. These are all factors she considers when setting a menu for Canyon students.
We have specific USDA guidelines that we have to meet, so I have to make sure that we're meeting all those guidelines first and foremost. But aside from that, I get to help a little bit with procurement, where we get our product from, and then deciding what we order from there, and then putting it on the menu in a kid-friendly way, I think is the most important part. We do serve chicken nuggets, of course, but they're whole grain. They're baked, never fried. You know, we do serve French fries, but they're, again, baked, not fried. So we know what, they're used to seeing, what they get at home, what they get when they go out to restaurants, but we healthify it, I guess.
In elementary schools, healthified meals include hamburgers made from 100% beef served on a whole wheat bun, whole muscle all white meat, chicken nuggets rolled in a whole grain breading, a turkey hot dog with no added nitrates, and taco salad with a whole grain tortilla shell. In middle and high schools, students have more options, such as a Philly cheesesteak sandwich with sliced beef, provolone cheese, and sautéed peppers served on a whole grain bun made from scratch. Fish and chips with wild-caught Alaska pollock breaded in a potato crust. Nachos and protein bento boxes are also on the menu. Around Thanksgiving, the cafeterias prepare a special lunch with turkey, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing made from scratch, homemade pumpkin cake, rolls, and fresh fruit. When a new dish comes along, Emily and Sebastian conduct taste tests to get student input on whether the meal will be a hit or not. As you can imagine, not every item gets the green light. A curry chicken recipe sampled by secondary students last year did not make the grade, for example.
Kind of was a lackluster.
Emily tracks the popularity of various meals to try to accommodate the whole district's widely varied tastes. By making sure the meals are not only good for students, but they taste good too, she finds that students are more open to learning about nutrition. She travels to schools a few times a year to host educational nutrition games while students eat their lunch. Sometimes the menu is tailored to relate to what's going on in students' lives outside of school. Last year, she devised a Lion King menu with a Lion King game to teach kids about eating healthfully.
I mean, it's so fun for me. That's one of my favorite things, to be able to interact with the kids and, directly talk to them about nutrition and why they enjoy eating healthy and what they love to eat and all of that. So,
while the goal of Canyon's Nutrition Services Department is to provide food that supports and sustains students so they can be at their optimal learning state, Sebastian says students can learn about nutrition too. By being exposed to balanced, thoughtful meals, they can learn how to recognize healthful meals outside of school.
If the kids can tell, okay, this is a grain, this is a fruit, this is a vegetable, or this is dairy or protein, so at least you can start identifying the food groups and how much you're supposed to take, so you can have a balanced meal within your tray. So those are more subtle things that they go unnoticed many of the times, but they do make a connection between nutrition, menu planning, and what you're eating. And we're hoping that maybe at first, when you're in first grade or kindergarten, you won't notice those things, but by grade 12, we're hoping that the students make that connection that, oh, there are food groups, and I shouldn't be eating a lot of one specific food group, but it should be more balanced, and that way teach them good nutrition. Somehow connect the cafeteria to the classroom in that matter.
Aside from planning meals that kids will love, there are a few other key components that make Canyon's food taste good. The district participates in a cooperative called UCare with other school districts. That connects Canyons to vendors every month. Canyons prioritizes purchasing locally sourced food whenever possible. Sometimes it's apples grown by local Utah farmers, other times it's vegetables or local peaches. But there is one other thing that makes Canyons food taste good. You might call it a secret ingredient. It's the fact that Canyons nutrition workers care.
They really care for the kids. And I know this is such a cliche, but caring when you prepare a meal makes such a huge difference, because it's not that love is the secret component, but it's actually, if you care, you're going to be more careful about reading the recipes, about following the recipes, about being more compliant with all the sanitation requirements, so you can have a good quality, safe meal at the end. So the meal is not only nutritious and tastes well, but it's also a safe meal for consumption. It's important because then it's not just a number or a meal. They identify that with a person, with a customer.
It was that motivation that helped Canyons nutrition workers transition suddenly last spring to handing out bagged meals to students when schools closed. It was an uncertain time, but they were willing to don gloves and hairnets and stand outside to make sure that students who needed that nutrition knew they had a place to receive food. Through a waiver from the FDA, Canyons continues to distribute free meals to students under age 18. The meals are distributed at Draper Park Middle, Midvale Middle, Butler Middle, and Jordan High. More information on those sites can be found on Canyons' webpage, www.canyonsdistrict.org. Whether in the cafeteria or outside of school, Canyons nutrition workers are here to provide support to students, both emotionally and nutritionally.
I'm always amazed at how many of my workers know students by first names, because there's hundreds of them that come through the line every time, and it's not just the name, but they follow up on little things like, oh, how was your soccer game, or anything. And it's that connection that makes the whole lunchroom experience a meaningful one, and the students can come and know that they have a safe and comfortable environment where they can enjoy a meal.
As the saying goes, the way to the heart can sometimes be through the stomach. Thank you to all of Canyons nutrition workers who go the extra mile to take care of Canyon students. Now, let's find a bowl of that homemade chili. That's it for us this week. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week, and if you like our storytelling, be sure to encourage a friend to subscribe.